thanks for watching Average Joe's Fantasy Football. My name is Steve and this is James. Today we will go over Week 2 starts and sits, but before we begin the video, please subscribe and like our channel. Also, if you have any lineup or trade questions for you this week, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We'll have our handles down below, also up here. So now let's begin Week 2 starts and sits. Take it away, James.
Our QB starts of the week, we're going to go with Dak Prescott first. He's going against Atlanta, 27th against the pass, ranked tied worst of the league. Then we're going to go with Tom Brady. Did very, very bad last week. Look for him to turn it around against Carolina, 15th ranked pass defense. Then we have Jimmy G. Jimmy G is going against the Jets. They gave up 3 touchdowns versus Josh Allen last week. And then we have our quarterback of the week. Our must-start quarterback of the week is going to be Aaron Rodgers. He had a great game, torched the Vikings last week. He's playing Detroit this week, who gave up 3 touchdowns, 1 incompletion to Trubisky. He had 34 fantasy points last week, so he's going to do work. All right, QB sits of the week. We're going to start with Baker Mayfield. Not going to say any more versus Cincinnati. Then Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers, new team. He's forcing the ball. Don't see him doing any better this week. Then we have Carson Wentz versus Washington. Got sacked 8 times last week. Look for the Rams to destroy him this week. And then we have Kirk Cousins. They're a run-first team. Don't see him doing any better. And look for Indianapolis to defense to have a comeback week this week. Now Steve's going to start with the wide receivers.
All right, so our Week 2 wide receiver start. So first one I've got is Cooper Kupp against Philly. So Philly is 27th against the slot receiver. The reason why I say that is Darius Slay is going to take over Robert Woods this week. So look for Cooper Kupp to really take advantage of it and kind of really make amends to his 8 points last week that he did. Second, I have Calvin Ridley, who did an amazing job last week and will continue that success this week against Dallas. Dallas right now has given up over 100 yards to the non-primary receiver, which we all know is Julio Jones. So give over 100 yards to Calvin Ridley this week. Another great start. Then I've got MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Man, that isn't a name. So they're going against Detroit this week, who is 5th against the pass. Plus, they also have 3 cornerbacks who are injured this week. So again, MVS can have an amazing week. Look for some touchdowns. Look for some great PPR and targets. Another great start. Our start for the week is going to be Anthony Miller. The reason why I have Anthony Miller, he put up 17 points last week. He was fantastic with Trubisky. On top of that, New York Giants are giving up the 4th most passing yards to anybody right now. I mean, anybody. They gave up 3 TDs to Big Ben. So Anthony Miller's going to have a fantastic, I say, a must start. All right, guys, so now we're going to go over to the sits for wide receiver week 2. So the first one I've got is Tyler Boyd against Cleveland. The reason why I have that is, if you saw the first week, Joe Burrow was really force-feeding A.J. Green for his comeback tour this season. So Tyler Boyd really got kind of pushed back to the end. So I just don't trust Tyler Boyd against Cleveland on Thursday night. Next, I have Keenan Allen. I hate to see that because I have Keenan Allen myself, but against Kansas City, they actually ranked 13th against the pass. And on top of that, Tyrod Taylor really targeted Mike Williams a lot more. I hope Keenan Allen has the comeback game, but I just don't trust him this week against Kansas City. Next I have is Marvin Jones Jr. Reason I have Marvin Jones Jr., there's a possibility he will start again as the number 1 receiver. And this week he would actually have Jair Alexander. Now if Galladay comes back, it may help him out, but with anything hamstring, Galladay might have some pitch count. So I just don't trust Marvin Jones Jr. this week against Green Bay. Then last I have is Will Fuller. Now I know he had a great last week, but Baltimore is 2nd against the pass. Yes, they're going to play behind for Houston, and Will Fuller will be targeted, but I just don't trust his upside this week against the Baltimore Ravens. So now we're going to go on to the running backs with James.
All right, running back start of the week. We're going to start with Raheem Mostert going against the Jets for PPR leagues. Look for him to have a great week. Then we go into David Montgomery versus Giants 25th ranked run defense. Look for him to have a great week also. Then we go into Austin Eckler, which had a disappointing week last week. Look for him to bounce back versus KC, especially in PPR leagues. I would he only had 1 reception, I believe, last week. Look for him at least have 3 to 5 receptions this week. Great for PPR leagues. And then Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley had 13 points last week, but look for him to do very, very well versus Dallas 27th ranked running back defense. And they also lost Van Der Esch last week. So look for Todd Gurley to have an amazing week. All right, sits of the weeks in running backs. We're going to go with Rojo. Make sure you sit him versus Carolina. Look for Fournette to have more snaps than Rojo. Then we're going to Mark Ingram. Had a very disappointing week last week. Look for Dobbins to have a better week. He took over the goal line rushes. So make sure you sit Mark Ingram. James Conner versus Denver. Don't like it. Snell had a great week last week versus the Giants. Look for Snell to pick up more rushes. And then also Connor's has that ankle injury. Then you have Miles Sanders. Has that hamstring injury. Look for him to be placed on a snap count. Limited snap count for sure. I would definitely sit Miles Sanders if you have him. And we're going to go with tight ends with Steve.
All right, guys. So for week 2 starts for the tight end position, I've got Jared Cook as your first option. Jared Cook is going to actually increase his targets even more than he did last week for Drew Brees. A lot of the news with Michael Thomas being out will actually push a lot towards him. Emmanuel Sanders will obviously draw the best corner of every matchup. So Jared Cook is going to be the guy for the next 3 to 4 weeks. Then we've got Hunter Henry. So Hunter Henry had put up 10 points last week in fantasy, which was not fantastic, but of course still pretty good for a tight end. This week he plays against Kansas City, who's actually given up 10 most points to tight ends, and Tyrod Taylor is liking the tight end position right now for targets, so Hunter Henry is a great start. Then the must start of the week is Hayden Hurst. Last week he only put up 6 points, and it was very disappointing when everyone thought he was going to be the Austin Hooper replacement. It will happen. Give it time. Matt Ryan will eventually have that relationship with him like he did with Hooper. And, of course, doesn't hurt that he's playing against Dallas this week, who is actually one of the worst against tight ends, and, of course, losing Van Der Esch and still having Sean Lee out. So the middle is going to be wide open for Hayden Hurst. Next, we're going to have the sits. So for sit tight end is Zach Ertz, and I know it's a shocker, but Zach Ertz lost a lot of targets to Dallas Goedert. If you were smart, you would probably picked him up this week in your waiver wires. Even myself picked up Dallas, and I think Goddard's going to have a better option against this week against the Rams. I just don't trust Zach Ertz. Next is Jack Doyle. Jack Doyle's played against Minnesota, who's actually given up the fewest points to tight end, and on top of that has an ankle injury, so I don't trust him this week for the Colts. Then Gronk. Everybody is swanning Gronk to be Gronk, but right now Gronk is still not quite himself. He has got to get back into the game shape, and I know he is Tom Brady's favorite target, but right now O.J. Howard was actually his favorite tight end last week. So that is something I would still be a little hesitant for and kind of stay away from Gronk. So those are our week 2 starts and sits. I hope this helps you guys a lot. And again, if you have any other questions for your lineups, any trade questions, things like that, please follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Again, our handles will be down below. If you like this video and you want to see more, please like it, subscribe it, share it, and get us going. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.